Let's talk about symptoms of menopause. Let me put them into context here. In actual fact, the conversation to do with menopausing and symptoms over the last few years that has changed. There's been a lot of misdirection and misinformation. So let me just clear up one key area about symptoms. Okay, there are realistically more like two lists of symptoms. One that we use for diagnostic purposes, and one that you can look at as the ongoing signs, symptoms, and challenges that we experience as a result of ovarian aging and hormonal aging. The first list is to do with diagnostic, and they are indicators that you may have reached perimenopause. And we need to look at this list really carefully because it has been edited by people over the years who have got the two kind of lists mixed up really. So back in the day, it would have said, but it doesn't now. It should have said sudden weight gain, not weight gain, right? Weight gain is not a indicator of perimenopause, but sudden weight gain could be. If your ovaries have started this accelerated aging, have a shift, the ratio of estrogen to estrogen to progesterones change, has a direct impact on our fat metabolism, how we support the insulin cycle, where we store our fat, and therefore you can have sudden changes in weight. You may not have changed anything else that you've done food-wise, movement-wise, sleep-wise. Nothing else has changed. But all of a sudden, you might experience weight gain. And that is an indicator of the changing shifts of ovarian activity where we're flipping from ovulatory to anovulatory. Now, I'll explain that in more detail, but it's really important that people who are talking about menopause understand that some of the symptoms lists are not accurate. So another one that impacts us early on in perimenopause, which could be an indicator of this shift and accelerated ovarian aging, could be things like anxiety. The psychological symptoms quite often manifest first, and that's because of the shifts, okay, and how it's affecting the brain. And they're very subtle, and we don't always notice them. They could be like just this feeling of sadness, a sudden loss of confidence, and just why don't I not feel right? I don't know why. Everything else is good, but why am I feeling like this? And those are the early indicator symptoms that quite often get misdiagnosed as, for example, a kind of depression. So the anxiety that is maybe on the other symptoms list that people tend to group into, oh, well, no wonder we're anxious because we're tired, we've put on weight and those kind of things. No, that's a different kind of challenge that we're now facing as a result of hormonal decline. So when you look at a symptoms list, try and precursor it with the word sudden, unusual, out of character, like the crushing fatigue. And also then if you've become a hormone detective, which I highly encourage you to do so, and you're tracking your cycle, tune into your mood, your food, your symptoms, and you may notice that they're not there all of the time. And this is when they should be seen more as an indicator of early perimenopause, when the shifts are occurring and then they may settle down and they're kind of moving along the continuum in this kind of like shuffly kind of basis when they're merging from one to another. Until then, perhaps as you move from early perimenopause into later perimenopause, you will actually start to realize that there is a difference in the kind of symptomology. All of them require you to build a very robust menstrual menopause health toolkit, but just be mindful of that when you're talking to people, or the ones that the symptoms that you're experiencing themselves. They're not all the same, and you really can tune into them and learn more about yourself and how to manage your menopause toolkit as you move along the continuum.